been considering passing laws like it. And when the bill passed, both the national media and a wide range of politicians hailed it as a universal health care or near universal health care. But then just a year or two later into the implementation of the bill, we found that the Senate president and the director who's actually implementing the law saying things like this law will fall apart unless we control the cost of health care. And the bill contained no cost controls whatsoever. So they're basically saying this bill is going to fall apart over the medium term. So myself and the other co-authors, we decided to look back at the history of other states who have tried to pass health care reforms. And we were shocked to find that there was at least a dozen other very similar healthcare reforms passed by the states that you just mentioned, and especially in Tennessee had a healthcare reform that was even more sweeping than ours. And all of these bills, hailed by the national press as universal or near universal, all hailed as potential models for the nation. All of them not only failed to achieve universal health care, but they didn't even succeed in reducing the number of uninsured in the state over 2 or 3 years. The states that spent the most money on their health reform bills, particularly Tennessee with its 10-care bill, they managed to reduce the uninsured in their state for just 2 years, and then the uninsured population sprang back exactly to what it was before reform. And even here in Massachusetts, just about a decade ago, we had a massive expansion of our Medicaid program. That's the public insurance program for low-income people. We added over 300,000 people to that program, and the numbers of uninsured in Massachusetts dipped for about 2 years, and then, just like all the other states we looked at, they went back to where they started. And we expect that this is what's going to happen with our bill in Massachusetts. So it was just giving a historical perspective to the types of healthcare reform that we're looking at the state level.
So here you have all this euphoria about healthcare reform, presumably as a result of a lot of grassroots lobbying by good people such as yourself and by the members of your coalition. Here you presumably have very progressive politicians saying, all right, we have too many uninsured, we have escalating, out of control, hyperinflating healthcare costs. Let's do the right thing and create a statewide, single-payer, universal healthcare program. Why does it fail, sir?
Well, I mean, the bill in Massachusetts is not a single-payer bill.
Okay.
Just to be clear, when we use the word single-payer or when we talk about national health program, that's what most countries in the developed world have. They have a public health insurance program that covers everyone as a right. So that means you don't have to try and get health coverage through your workplace, which is the sort of the crazy system that we have here. And when you lose your job, you might potentially lose your health insurance coverage. And it turns out that doing it that way, having one big public system, is much, much, much cheaper and much more affordable, and you get better health outcomes and better access to healthcare.
I think I may have stumbled upon the problem in my ignorance, that these idealistic and well-meaning state plans in these various states fail because it's not single payers. Would that be correct?
Yes, and the answer is, of course, money. None of them contain a way of cutting out all the waste in our healthcare system and making them affordable. So they try to expand coverage to the hundreds of thousands of uninsured, to the millions of uninsured, but without controlling those costs and without magically finding huge amounts of money from somewhere, all of these plans fall short. They have to stop enrolling people. They have to erode benefits. They have to kick people off the plans.
So is the way this? I'm going to guess the way this played out in 2006. So here it was Governor Romney at the time. Is that correct? So,
yes, that's right.
So this is post Cellucci. Post-Weld, post-Cellucci, but you can, for our listeners, let's just backfill this area of Massachusetts politics a little bit. Massachusetts, lived there for years, love the politics of the state. They talk about Kennedy Democrats and enlightened Democrats, and indeed they are. But back in, I want to say 1992, the Democrats put up a real kook for governor by the name of John Silber, who kind of a misanthrope, really. I think that would be fair to say. And he lost to the first Republican in a generation or more, a guy by the name of Bill Weld, whose politics actually were pretty attractive. He was a moderate to liberal Republican, pro-choice, pro-gay marriage. He was a fiscal conservative. He reminded me of kind of like the Republican Party's version of Bill Clinton. Ivy League educated, tall, handsome, clever. He's a novelist. He was married to Susan Roosevelt, a Democrat from the infamous Roosevelt family. She taught law, Chinese law, I think, at Harvard Law School. And you had the Republican Party pushing for a lot of liberal reforms. Bill Weld turned over the reins of the governor's office to his lieutenant governor, Paul Cellucci, who has been the longtime ambassador to Canada, I think. So the table was set for reform by the time Mitt Romney got into office. Is that a fair estimate of Massachusetts politics up until 2006?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so you had all this bipartisan support for a well-meaning bill.